And Ichiro's like, oh, come on, man. He's like, I'm definitely safe. And then he comes over to me. He's like, Case, tell him.
Did he?
He goes, tell the ump I'm safe. Tell the ump I'm safe. And I just I looked at him and smiled, threw the ball around, but I was like, he's 100% safe.
And I'm in love with this good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top. Keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up. I'm coming up. The good life. Good life. Oh, good life. Good life. Good life. Yeah.
Boom, coming in hot, Chichi. What's going on, man? Hall of Fame day.
Hall of Fame day. Not hot. Wind chill here has 5 degrees. Your real temperature is 5 degrees in the Pittsburgh area. Is that correct?
Bro, 5. I think it's like 5, 6 degrees, 4.
Oh, man.
It feels like -2, I think.
Oh, my God. Get me to the summer, man. Chenchaminos do not handle this very well.
Chinchaminas do not handle it.
We don't. Hey, yeah, you said, though, dude, Hall of Fame day. We got some guys with some big numbers already. Ichiro currently is at 100%. Thank goodness. Please let him stay there. CC's looking real good. Billy Wagner's looking real good. Initial thoughts?
Well, I love that Ichiro's sitting at 100%. It just makes you think, who are the idiots that didn't bet, like where Ken Griffey Jr. and all the guys who's not betting 100% on him. Who leaves him off the ballot? You know
It's
what I mean?
ridiculous. Somebody who
Stuff
shouldn't
like that.
have a
Hank
ballot.
Aaron.
People
Yeah,
who
like, what are we-
shouldn't have a ballot are the ones that don't give.
Exactly. Don't have a ballot if you're not voting for them.
Yeah.
I love Ichiro. Obviously, man, this guy was one of the best players I've ever seen. It was just incredible how fast he was. And dude, they say the guys on the Mariners said he had more power than everybody. He
That's
could
what they
launch a ball like in the second deck at will if he wanted to, but he didn't like doing that in the game.
Yeah, I worked with Bobby Valentine back at ESPN, and he's an expert. He won championships in Japan, whatever. And he said he was the one that first said it. He goes, Ichiro can hit a home run anytime he wants in batting practice. Like he would have won home run derbies and stuff like that. And by the way, how about his arm, dude? How about how?
Dude, he had a cannon of an arm. He could fly. He was always doing the stretching stuff too. Had so many cool. I remember one time I was in Detroit in 07. Ichiro beat this play, comes flying down the line. It's like bang bang play, ground ball to short. He beats it.
Wow.
He was definitely safe. And as a first baseman, you could feel it. You could feel like my bag, my foot, ball. You just do it quickly. I'm like, oh, he's definitely safe. I'm just like, out. And Ichiro's like, oh, come on, man. He's like, I'm definitely safe. And then he comes over to me. He was like, Case, tell him.
Did he?
He goes, tell the ump I'm safe. Tell the ump I'm safe. And I just I looked at him and smiled and threw the ball around, but I was like, he's 100% safe. 100. So it's kind of funny. And there was another thing too. When Mike Cameron got traded to the Mariners, Cam was the best, man. He was just such a great, one of the best clubhouse leaders out there. Just a funny guy. Brought everybody in. Was so nice to everybody. Well, I guess he took Ichiro under his wing because Cam doesn't care, dude, who you are. He doesn't care if you're the greatest player in Japan. Doesn't care if you're Hank Aaron. Doesn't care if you're Babe Ruth. He's gonna love on you. That's just who he is. And I guess he really loved on Ichiro big time. And was kind of took him, like I said, took him under his wing. Gave him his love and all that stuff. And Cam used to always say, you were always like, hey, what's up, Cam? And Cam's like, I can't call it. I can't call it. That was his thing. I can't call it. I can't call it. And so Ichiro comes to first base that first year he's with Mike Cameron. We're playing him. And he gets on first. I'm like, hey, Ichiro, how you doing, man? He's like, I can't call it. He's like, oh my gosh. I was like, Cam's teaching him English. Mike Cameron's teaching him English. This guy thinks I can't call it. It's just, hey, I can't call it, man. So great, dude.
So great. We have a Billy Wagner episode. Did we do Billy Wagner? Yes, we did Billy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's a good one.
We had a whole conversation with him about this.
Yes, that's right. And guess what? He should be in the Hall of Fame. You said every player I've ever talked to says he was one of the most dominating pitchers they've ever faced, and you were one of these people.
Bro, he was, and he was so nasty. And I didn't know this. I didn't know that in Wagner's last couple years, dude. Wagner in 2010, his final season in the big leagues, dude. He had a 1.43 ERA with 37 saves in Atlanta, he was 38. He was still dominating. He walked away because he wanted to coach his son, Will Wagner, who's now in the big leagues.
Right.
For the Blue Jays, he wanted to be a dad. He wanted to coach his kids. He's a strong man of faith. Felt like he'd done enough. He's 38 years old. He played in the big leagues, I don't know, 17 years or whatever, something like that. And but you go back and looked at how nasty he was. In 1999, he finished fourth in the National League Cy Young with a 1.57 ERA, 39 saves for Houston. That was my coming out party, and that was also his. That's when I was like, wow, this guy's different. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
man, he should be in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about it in my mind what he did and what he meant to the game too. He was just flat out nasty. The other guy I'm loving that's getting big time votes that's going to get in, I think, is CC Sabathia.
Amen.
Talk about a friend of the show. Maybe on Friday we could play his episode we did. He was one of the first episodes we ever did.
And one of the
episode 5 was CC.
And one of the best episodes we ever did. Yes, we should play
Great
that.
Episode.
Yes.
If you're not ready for the F-bombs, there are definitely some F-bombs in that episode, but
Yes,
very
yes.
worthy of them.
Yes.
But dude, he's one of the best lefties of all time. One of the best pitchers of all time. And the numbers that he has stack up in history, and I believe he's going to get in.
200.
Andruw Jones is trending.
Right.
I hope he's at least in the 70% and they get it right next year. Looks like he's going to just miss. But Andruw Jones is a Hall of Famer, dude. I don't.
Yeah. I totally agree. And CC, again, 251 wins. We're not going to see that very often unless things change in Major League Baseball, especially from a lefty.
No, dude. 3,577 strikeouts.
Yeah.
No. 3,577 innings.
Right.
3,093 strikeouts. Almost a strikeout per inning, dude.
Correct. I got a question for you. What's your Arod take? What's your Hall of Fame take on any of those guys? I mean, him and Manny are in a different category than the other guys who were have since admitted PED use because they kind of got busted after it was illegal in Major League Baseball. There's a big discrepancy there.
That's where I think like Manny and Arod got busted a couple times after there was testing. After it was like Bonds. Still don't think Bonds failed a test. I know he had that whole thing with, I'm not saying he wasn't doing stuff, but like, dude, there was no testing at the time. I don't know, man. I played during that era. I've gone back and forth with this, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a few guys that are in that are definitely suspicious, and I think they did PEDs. And if that's the case,
Right.
then I think the best player of all time should be in. Barry Bonds should be in. Clemens should be in.
It's interesting. Of the 4 major sports, steroid eras in sports, baseball holds their athletes to a much higher standard. I mean, you look at the NFL. In the NFL, it's like, oh, hey, they're getting their linebacker back. He's been gone for 4 games because he got busted for PEDs. It's like he had a hamstring injury.
No one cares.
No one cares in the other sports.
Dude, I don't think anyone would have cared, Chinch, actually, had Bonds not broken Hank Aaron's record. And had not Clemens won 7 Cy Youngs and had 355 wins. I think people would have looked the other way if they got to 600 some homers. But I think when they started breaking records, I think the records are so sacred in baseball.
Yeah.
And, when you had to see Hank Aaron congratulate Barry Bonds kind of under that suspicion, I think it was just yucky for baseball. And I think that is what's holding those guys out.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. Aaron Judge's home runs are held to a different standard for a lot of people than Barry Bonds's are. So
Right.
It's interesting. It's always going to be there. The problem is, for me, it's called the Hall of Fame, right? So, like,
Right.
is it character or is it fame? And that's the argument people have been having for all of these years, ever since, like, 1998,
Right. Well, I remember a really good friend of mine who's in Cooperstown said to me one time, he said, Case, Cooperstown isn't the Holy Land, it's the Promised Land. You know what I mean? So, like,
Great.
I don't know, man. There's so many, I don't care what anybody says, the greenies that were taken for years and years and years, amphetamines, that some guys took just to get through the season, those are performance-enhancing drugs. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We're really, I know they say it makes you a different human this way. Well, I know some guys that took steroids during that era that got worse.
Yeah.
Made them too big, too bulky, too slow.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's just, it's definitely, everyone has their own opinion. I've gone back and forth. Well, like I said,
Right.
I played in that era. Never did it. I never did a greening. I did like some protein shakes. I used to drink. This is where I was when I was playing. I used to drink a 32-ounce Mountain Dew with crushed ice before every game. Like, had no idea I was bombing myself, but like I didn't know back then.
Hey, man,
you
you-
don't know what you know. You know what I mean? So like,
Totally.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. And I don't think as many guys were taking steroids as people say.
No,
You know,
I mean,
back in the
it used to be like, hey, if you take steroids, you're gonna die.
Yeah. Exactly.
Zato and all those guys, that was a different kind of thing. They were pumping themselves through like horse.
Well,
tests.
they were pumping themselves with stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, the Balco stuff got a little more scientific. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You know, different day and age, but still, at the end of the day, if there's a rule in your sport saying you can't do something and you do it, that's what's hurting Arod. And
Right. That's what hurting Arod and Manny. I think because they got busted after the testing.
correct. All right, that's where that is. It's an interesting thing. You know, Hall of Fame. I just hope that Ichiro gets in 100%. If he doesn't, whoever doesn't vote for him, I don't think they should be allowed to vote. I have to be honest. Like, you can't argue against him. Name one argument against Ichiro for the Hall of Fame. Name one.
There's not one. And I also think I know this is Cooperstown Hall of Fame. He's over 3,000 hits, all that stuff, 10 Gold Gloves, one of the best ever. But in the back of your mind, you have to think he didn't come over here until he was 27. He'd already had, I believe, 1,600 hits in Japan. Like, you know, he's the all-time leading hitter. Which Pete Rose, when they asked Pete Rose that question, he said, "Yeah." He's like, "Then I'm the all-time leading hitter because I had all those hits in the minors." You know, he was like kind of saying Japan and the minors. But if Ichiro were here when he was, that's one thing about Roki Sasaki coming over, dude. I think Roki Sasaki wants to cement his legacy in the game, prove to himself that if I'm really good, I better get here when I'm 23 years old and start putting up numbers to try to get to Cooperstown. Because he could have waited 2 more years till he was 25,
Correct.
got the big deal that Yamamoto got. But at the end of the day, I think he wants to get here and start putting up numbers. Because I think there's a real respect factor and a legacy factor for those guys that are from Japan that end up getting into Cooperstown.
Yeah, and it is a really cool thing that like we've reached a point where Japanese and United States baseball, like, you know, it used to be. Think about when you were playing. It's like, oh, but is it the same game in Japan? They can't keep up with Major League Baseball. I mean, we're seeing with pitchers. You get a pitcher from Japan, you're in pretty good shape. If they are great there, they're probably going to be really good, at least, or solid here.
Yeah, well, I agree. The pitching, you're right. The especially you're going back to Hideo Nomo when he brought that split finger over in the 90s, man. That was, dude, he was nasty on me. I could not. I'm 0 for 8 with 4 punches off Hideo Nomo. I just couldn't figure him out. I think maybe I was 1 for 8, but I couldn't figure him out, man. I knew that split was like something I'd never seen. They say Roki Sasaki throws over 100 with a wipeout 93 mile an hour split finger. I mean, these guys, Otani's pitch, dude. That's, you know, what are they calling it? The gyro ball or something. It was
Right.
just, you know,
Right, dude. I've been watching video of this kid, dude. He hit 102 in the WBC last time around, and that split. Somebody did you know how they do those things where they overlay a guy throwing his fastball and splitter.
Yeah.
They had him in like, you know, a facility, and dude, it's the exact same path, dude, and that splitter drops like a foot. It's crazy.
Right.
And
Did you see some of the swings those guys took in the WBC? They look
Yes.
like little leaguers.
It's a crazy thing, man. That's where it's at.
And one other guy, Carlos Beltran.
Oh yes, let's talk Beltran. What do you?
Well, I think the only reason he's not in is because of the whole Astros scandal. They want to give him a little punishment.
You think so?
But, yeah, he should be in, dude, and he's trending in that direction. He'll be in a couple years, but he should.
Yeah.
Carlos Beltran should definitely be in.
The other thing.
Torrey Hunter, dude. Torrey Hunter's trending down. I played against Torrey Hunter. I played against him in the minors all the way through the big leagues. I don't know, man. Start looking at his stats and comparing them to some people because when you do, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Torrey Hunter's numbers are a lot better than you think.
I bet.
A lot better. Like Hall of Fame worthy numbers.
By the way, defensively, we talk about it all the time with, like, you know, Ozzie Smith, greatest defender of his generation, maybe probably the best defensive shortstop of all time up there. There's a few guys. Right. He's one of them. He won 1A2. his offensive numbers are not there, but he was that good defensively. Torrey Hunter robbed more home runs than anybody I've ever seen in my lifetime watching TV. I have never seen anybody rob more home runs than Torrey Hunter, to be honest.
He was so good, dude.
Yeah,
Torrey
I wonder,
was
like, if Torrey
so
Hunter
good.
played for the Yankees instead of the Twins, do you think he'd be getting more consideration?
Yes, I
Yes.
actually do. And then but on that flip side, where's Bernie Williams? Go look at Bernie Williams' numbers, dude. Like,
Awesome numbers too. Yeah,
unbelievable numbers and postseason numbers. One of the greatest postseason players of all time.
Yeah.
Most home runs. I mean,
yeah. I'm a big Torrey Hunter.
that's why Cooperstown's tough to get into, dude. A lot of these guys are incredible. They really are. Kenny Lofton's numbers might be better than Tim Rains's. He's off the ballot.
Right.
Lance Berkman's off the ballot. His numbers are better than a ton of guys. Don't forget he was a switch hitter. Don Mattingly, there's so many guys. Dude.
Carlos Delgado. Where's Carlos Delgado?
Carlos Delgado had like 470 homers and off the ballot, like first time. Like,
Yeah, and
guys are missing.
I like what you do, man. I like what you say when you were like, you got the eye test, man. You were on the field.
Yeah.
Like Carlos
Right.
Delgado, when he came up, where'd you
Dude.
stand? Where did you stand at first base?
I was like, I didn't even hold guys on at first. I was so scared. I was in the freaking outfield.
Gary Sheffield, for Christ's
Yeah,
sake.
give me a break. He has 500. Chef should be in too.
Yeah.
Chef should be in.
Yeah, it's so funny. We talk about it so excited all the time, but then it gets to the point where you start getting mad at the Hall of Fame, and it's not.
I know, dude.
It's not all
I
of their
know.
fault. Anyway,
On the way out, Chinch, one more thing. Anthony Santander, the Blue Jays got their man. 5 years, $92.5 million. I like it.
nice piece right there. Very nice piece.
sign.
All right,
Real
go put your Underoos on. I got like 9 layers on right now.
I just did my gratitude journal, and I actually thanked my house for being a. Thank you that I'm in a house.
I thought about that today. I'm like, oh, my heat's working great today. Oh,
Yeah,
thank God.
for that you're not out in the cold, dude. You're not out in the cold.
God bless us. All right, brother.
All right, bro. Have a great rest of the day, dude. Chichi, I love you, buddy. Everyone out there, thanks for listening. Appreciate you. Catch you tomorrow.
See you.